Today, let us have a discussion on peptic ulcer. Today our topic is about peptic ulcers. Now, before really going into detail about peptic ulcers, let us have some introduction anatomy of stomach. Let us consider this is our stomach. So, basically, this is esophagus. This is the esophagus, and here this is the stomach, and this is the duodenum. Now, these whatever the stomach which is present internally, it is divided into three parts. So, this is the anterior most part. This anterior most part is called cardiac stomach. Anterior most part of stomach is called cardiac stomach, whereas this middlemost part is called fundic stomach. The posterior most part of this fundic stomach is called body. This is the body of stomach. Now, this posterior most part of stomach is called pylori. This posterior most part is called pylori. Again, in the pylori, it is divided into two subregions, whereas the posterior most part which is wide in range, this wide part of pyloric stomach is called antrum. Wide part of this pyloric stomach is called antrum, whereas the narrow part here, this narrow part of this pyloric stomach is called pyloric canal. This is called pyloric canal. Now, this is the anatomy of some introduction of stomach. This is esophagus, this is cardiac stomach, and this is a fundic stomach, and this is a body, and this is totally is called pyloric stomach. It is divided into two regions. One is antrum, and another one is pyloric canal. So, if we discuss about the walls of stomach, there are four different walls of stomach are present. Let us discuss about the walls of stomach. So, the outermost layer this is the outermost layer. This is the outermost layer. The outermost layer is called serosal layer. The outermost layer is called serosal layer. The layer present next to this. That is the layer which is present next to this stomach, next to this serosal layer is called muscularis externa. Again, this muscularis externa is again divided into two regions, that is outer longitudinal region which contains longitudinal muscles, consists of longitudinal muscles. Outer layer it consists of longitudinal muscles, whereas inner layer consists of circular muscles. Outermost layer is serosal layer. The layer present next to it is muscularis externa. Muscularis externa. Now, the layer present next to this muscularis externa is called submucosal layer. This is a submucosal layer. This layer is called submucosal layer. Now, the layer which is present next to this, that is more inner to this is submucosal layer. Submucosal layer. Now, the layer which is present next to this submucosal layer is called mucosal layer, which secretes the mucus. This mucosal layer. These are some important walls of the stomach. So the outermost layer is called, the outermost layer of stomach is called serosal layer. The next layer is muscularis externa, which is internally divided into two regions. One is outermost layer is consists of longitudinal muscles. The inner layer consists of circular muscles. Next to this inner muscularis externa, next layer is submucosal layer. Next to the submucosal layer consists of mucosal layer. So inside this mucosa, there are some elevations and depressions are present. Like this. Some elevations and depressions are present. So the elevations and depressions which are present inside the mucosal layer towards the luminal layer is called gastric rugae. This is called gastric rugae. So this is about gastric rugae. So if we bring out one gastric rugae, let us consider this is the mucosal layer. On surface of mucosal layer, it consists of rugae. Here these are the rugaes. Like this. These are present up to only body of stomach. These are not present in the pyloric stomach. So let us consider this is our mucosal layer. On surface of mucosal layer, this is one gastric rugae. Let us consider this is one gastric rugae. So these are some elevations and these are some depressions. So these are called gastric pit. This is called gastric pit. Now this is gastric pit. Let us consider some cells which are present here. Let us consider this is some part of cardiac stomach and pyloric stomach, fundic stomach. This is a part of, these are the mucosal cells of cardiac stomach and fundic stomach and some part of body, and these are the gastric rugae present here. So let us consider some different types of cells here. On surface of these, special type of cells are present. On surface of these rugae, there are special epithelial cells are present. These epithelial cells are called columnar epithelial cells. Columnar epithelium. Again, this mucosal layer is internally divided into three regions. One is epithelium, and next one is lamina propria, and other one is muscularis mucosa. So these are three internal layers. Totally it consists of 7 layers: serosa muscularis externa, submucosa, mucosa, and epithelial tissue, epithelial layer, and lamina propria layer, and muscularis mucosa layer. So totally 7 layers are present. So these are some important cells which are present on surface of gastric rugae. So these are cells are called columnar epithelial cells. So these columnar epithelial cells, now in between these columnar epithelial cells there are special type of cells are present. These blue color structures are special kind of cells. So the function, these special kind of cells are called foveolar cells. These special kind of cells are called foveolar cells, which are present on surface of gastric rugae in between the columnar epithelial cells. So let us consider like this here. These are called foveolar cells. So these foveolar, what is the function of these foveolar cells is, it helps in secreting the mucus. It helps in secreting the mucus, and this mucus which is secreting is rich in bicarbonates. It is rich in bicarbonates. So these are foveolar cells which are rich in bicarbonates. So these are some important type of cells. These are present on surface of elevations. Now there are depressions are also present. So on surface of depression there are special kind of cells. This is a special kind of cell. This special kind of cell is called parietal cell. That special kind of cells are called parietal cells. On surface of these pits, it consists of parietal cells, and below these parietal cells, there are special cells are present. These special cells are called enterochromatin cells. These special cells are called enterochromatin cells, whereas at the depth, at the middlemost part of this pit, it consists of special cells These special cells are called chief cells. These special kind of cells are called chief cells. So this is mucosal layer of cardiac stomach and pyloric stomach. Sorry, cardiac stomach and fundic stomach. It is not a part of pyloric stomach. Only remember this point. It is a part of only cardiac stomach, fundic stomach, and some part of body. So on surface of this, it consists of special epithelial cells. In between the epithelial cells, these epithelial cells are specialized cells that are columnar epithelial cells, whereas it has finger-like projections. So pillar-like cells. Now, in between these epithelial cells, there are special set of cells are present. That special set of cells are called foveolar cells. Now, the help of what is the function of these foveolar cells is it helps in secreting the mucus. So, whatever the mucus which are secreting is rich in bicarbonate. So, these bicarbonates helps in forming the HCl. We will discuss the formation of HCl. These bicarbonates which are present in the mucus helps in secreting the HCl, that is hydrochloric acid. So this is a part of cardiac stomach and fundic stomach. Now let us have a discussion on mucosal layer present at the pyloric stomach, which is different from cardiac stomach. Let us consider this is a mucosal layer and this is one gastric rugae. So in between the spits there are special set of cells are present. These special cells are called G cells. G cells are nothing but gastrin cells. These helps in secreting the gastrin. So these are one set of cells. And there are another set of cells are present at this opposite side, These special cells are called delta cells. That special set of cells are called delta cells. So this is some basic introduction about stomach and its stomach walls and gastric rugae, which plays important role in formation of stomach ulcers. So now let us have a discussion on two pathways which helps in formation of releasing of HCl. Let us consider this is our central nervous system. This is our central nervous system. Now, these are some luminal cells. Sorry, these are some mucosal cells. On mucosal cells, this is one gastric rugae. So these are some parasympathetic outflow. These are some parasympathetic outflows which starts from cranium and posterior most part of central nervous system. So as we know that these are special set of cells, these are called parietal cells. These are called parietal cells, and there is one more type of cell, that is enterochromatin cell. One is, this is enterochromatin cell and this is parietal cell. Now this is the outflow, parasympathetic outflow, only the parasympathetic outflow. This parasympathetic outflow will bring a neurotransmitter, that is acetylcholine. So these acetylcholine, they have special receptors. They have special receptors and enterochromatin cell, that is this is a special receptor for the acetylcholine. Now this acetylcholine will get binded here. Acetylcholine will get binded here. So it undergoes some intracellular signaling process where histidine will get entered inside, and as a result histamine will be formed. Now the histamine will be formed. So whatever the histamine which is present in the lumen. Now these histamine which is present will attract, it get attracted by the receptors which are present on these parenchymal cells. Sorry, these are parietal cells. These are special receptors for histamine. Special receptors for the histamine. So whenever it is attached, activating this parietal cell, this parietal cell will release HCl. It releases the HCl. As a result, HCl concentration will get increased. Acidic concentration will get increased. It results in increase in concentration of acidic nature. So this pathway is called indirect pathway. By means it is activating first enterochromatin cells, then it is activating the parietal cells. It will be activating the parietal cells. So this is indirect pathway. There is one more direct pathway, that is these postganglionic neurons will directly activate the histamine. So directly it will activate the parietal cells. That means by releasing the acetylcholine. By releasing the acetylcholine on histamine, on acetylcholine on parietal cells. By these parietal cells, it releases HCl. It releases the HCl. So acidic concentration will get increased. So here the acidic concentration will get increased. So these are two pathways through which HCl concentration will be increased. One is indirect pathway, another one is direct pathway. Now let us have discussion on some special cases, that is case number 1, where the excessive secretion of HCl is taking place. That is first case number 1. Let us consider a patient number 1 where the HCl concentration is more. If there is HCl concentration is more, there should be compulsory, there must be a counter-regulatory mechanism. So what is that counter-regulatory mechanism? As we have know that on surface of pyloric mucosal cells, there are special cells are present. So these special cells are called delta cells. So these delta cells which are released whatever these delta cells, because of activation of HCl, it will activate the delta cells. Now, what is the function of this delta cells means, these delta cells will activate the special protein. It will activate a special protein or hormone that is called somatostatin. Somatostatin will get activated. So the function of this somatostatin is, it will inhibit the excessive secretion of HCl. The HCl concentration will get decreased. HCl concentration within the stomach will get decreased. So this is one counter regulatory mechanism, that is case number 1. If there is hyper secretion, that is hyper secretion of HCl. If there is hyper secretion of HCl, acidic concentration will be increased. Normally the pH within the stomach is 1.3 to 3.5 in normal, average between 1.3 to 3.5, but if there is hyper secretion, that will be less than 1.0, that is it becomes more acidic. It is highly dangerous. So in order to overcome that condition, there are special set of cells are called delta cells are present. These delta cells will release special set of enzyme proteins called somatostatins. Now these somatostatins will work on these somatostatins. It will work on this HCl and it will inhibit the releasing of HCl. So it inhibits the releasing of HCl. Now in case number, this is case number 1. Now let us consider case number 2. In case number 1 there is hyper secretion, but in case number 2 there is hyposecretion, that is hypocalcemia or hypochloridria or achloridria. That achloridria means there is no presence of chloride ions, or hypochloridria means there is presence of less chloride ions. In case of hyperchloridria, the HCl concentration will get decreased. If there is decrease of HCl concentration, the alkaline concentration will get increased. It is highly toxic. So in pyloric mucosal cells, there is special cells are present. So these special cells are called gastrin cells. These special cells are called gastrin cells. So these gastrin cells will release, in absence of HCl, these gastrin cells will release gastrin. So these gastrin cells will have receptors on parietal cells. That means they have receptors for gastrin cell. They have receptors for gastrin. So whenever gastrin is get attached here, it helps in releasing the HCl. That is, by this the HCl concentration will get increased. So in this way the HCl concentration will be increased. It helps in, these two are the counter regulatory mechanisms. If there is hypersecretion, the somatostatin will be released. If there is hyposecretion, gastrin hormone will get released. So these are some important terms to be important procedure to remember in peptic ulcer. Now let us discuss about the formation of HCl within the parietal cells and releasing of HCl. Let us consider this is one gastric rugae. Now, on surface of this gastric rugae, these are the parietal cells. These are special set of cells are called parietal cells. this is one special cell, that is parietal cell. Now for this there is a blood supply also. Here this is the blood supply. So within the blood supply there is carbon dioxide is present. This carbon dioxide is present. So on surface of it is luminal membrane, and this is so here the layer which is present towards the lumen is called luminal membrane. So this is luminal membrane, and this is apical membrane, and this is basal membrane, and this is luminal membrane. Now these carbon dioxide, they have special transporters of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide will directly enter into this apical membrane through carbon dioxide transporters. So whenever this carbon dioxide is entered, it will settle inside this parietal cells. Now as we know that the parietal cells, or not only parietal cells, all the cells are rich in water molecules. So now whatever the carbon dioxide which is present inside the cell, it reacts with water molecules. It will react with the water molecules. So there is an enzyme called carbonic anhydrase. Carbonic anhydrase. Now the carbonic anhydrase is an enzyme which is present, helps in forming the H2CO3, carbonic acid. H2CO3 will be formed. Now whatever the H2CO3 which is formed, it results in dissociation of this product. Now this dissociation of the product into two forms. One is H plus and HCO3 minus. One is protons and other one is bicarbonates. Now on surface of these membranes, let us consider surface of luminal membrane, there is special pump is present. That is proton potassium ATPase. Proton potassium ATPases. Now whatever the H plus ion which is present, from these proton potassium ATPases, these H plus ion will be entered into the lumen. So these H plus ion will be situated inside the lumen. Now this is one gastric rugae inside the lumen. There is H plus is located. Now we require a special chloride molecules. Where does these chloride molecules are present? These chloride molecules are present within the circulations. So again from these circulations, chloride molecules will be entered into this gastric rugae. From this gastric rugae, they will move towards the hydrogen H plus ions and combines with H plus ions, will result in the formation of HCl. It results in formation of HCl. So this is the procedure which is involved in synthesis of HCl. So this is a synthesis of HCl. Now why we need to discuss about these detail of synthesis of HCl? There is a pharmacology which is involved in this area. Now if there is excessive secretion of HCl in case of peptic ulcer is nothing but there is excessive secretion of HCl, ultimately which results in ulcerations. This is called peptic ulcer. Now, in case if there is excessive secretion of hydrochloric acid, the first type of drugs which are administered is special group of drugs that are proton pump inhibitors. So, proton pump inhibitors. So, these are the special group of drugs. Now, there are special group of drugs which are working in this area, and it will inhibit these proton pumps. If there is inhibition of this proton pump, whatever the H plus which is synthesized cannot move outside. If there is no moving of proton outside, there will be no attachment of chloride ions with this. As a result, there will be no synthesis of HCl. So, the first group of drugs is called proton pump inhibitors. So, what are the drugs which comes under this proton pump inhibitors are pantoprazole, omeprazole. Pantoprazole, omeprazole. These are the drugs which comes under this proton pump inhibitors. If there is excessive secretion of HCl, it will block these proton pumps. If there is blockage of these proton pumps, these H plus cannot move outside. If there is no moving of H plus ions, as a result, there is no formation of HCl. So, as a result, there is decrease of HCl. Now, there are another class of drugs that inside the stomach, if there is excessive secretion of excessive secretion of acids, there are certain drugs which neutralizes the acidic nature. So, what are the special group of drugs? Are the special group of drugs which neutralizes the acidic nature is called antacids. Antacids are the special group of drugs which will work against the acidic secretions and neutralizes the acidic nature. What are the antacids? Examples are magnesium hydroxide, calcium carbonate. These are the two important types of antacids. Now, if there is person suffering from ulcers, then the first most important part which gets affected is mucosa. Now, we will go into further detail. The first most affected part is called mucosa. Now, there are certain drugs which will work on the mucosa and helps in healing of mucosa. So, there are special group of drugs that are called mucosal healing agents. There are special group of drugs called mucosal healing agents. What are the drugs which comes under mucosal healing agents are called sucralfate. Sucralfate is a special drug which works on mucosal layer of stomach and helps in healing of the stomach which is damaged because of peptic ulcers. Now, next group of drugs. So, in this, on surface of, we know that on surface of these receptors, so on surface of the cell, we have special set of receptors are present. So, these are special kind of receptors. These are H2 type of receptors. Now, if there is attachment of histamine, these H2 receptors will get activated. When there is H2 receptors are activated, these histamines will help in releasing the formation of HCl. So, there are other class of drugs which will work at this area. We have discussed proton pump inhibitors and antacids and mucosal healing agents. Now, there are special group of drugs which works at this area. There are special group of drugs which works at this H2 receptors and inhibit that H2 receptors, which will inhibit this H2 receptors. So that special class of drugs which inhibit the H2 receptors are called H2 antagonist. H2 antagonist. So what are the drugs which comes under this H2 antagonist? Our first one is called cimetidine. Next one is ranitidine. Next one is famotidine. So these are some important class of drugs which are works at this area. There is one more class of drugs which works on special bacteria that are antibiotics. We will discuss further. These are 4 different class of drugs which are working in this area, which inhibit the synthesis of HCl. First one is proton pump inhibitors, second one is antacids, next one is mucosal healing agents, next one is H2 antagonists. So these are some important drugs which are used here. So if you come to the definition of peptic ulcer, it is easy that there is formation of ulcers in the upper part of the gastrointestinal tract. There is formation of ulcers in the upper part of gastrointestinal tract, which is following the esophagus, stomach, and some anterior most part of, that is starting part of duodenum, is called ulcers. So if we discuss about the types of ulcers, there are 3 different types of ulcers. This is about some information which is important. Next one is types of ulcers. There are 3 different types of ulcers which are easy to remember. That is, first one is esophageal ulcer, which occurs where the ulcer formation takes place in the esophagus, and next one is stomach ulcers, where the formation of ulcers takes place within the stomach, and next one is duodenal ulcer, where the ulcer formation takes place in the anterior most part of the duodenum. So these are the 3 different types of ulcers. This is about types. Now coming to the etiology. Etiology is nothing but what are the causes which results in peptic ulcers. So in the causes of peptic ulcer, we need to discuss about 2 points. One is what are the defense mechanisms which are present inside the stomach. So first is defense mechanisms. What are the defense mechanisms? First we have discussed about the first type of cell, foveolar cells. Foveolar cells helps in secreting the mucus. So these mucus helps in secreting, these cells are helps in secreting the mucus and helps in prevent the cells by damaging from the acidic nature. First one is foveolar cells, and next one is prostaglandins. What is the role of prostaglandins? What is the role of prostaglandins in defense mechanism? Means whatever the prostaglandins which are synthesized by the mast cells, it helps in activating the foveolar cells. Whenever these foveolar cells are activated, it helps in secreting the mucus. It helps in secreting the mucus and helps in preventing the damage. So these are some defense mechanisms. Now, if we discuss the causes, one is causing. causes for the peptic ulcers. First one is, the first cause is if there is overactivation of parietal cells. If there is overactivation of parietal cells, there will be more releasing of HCl. That is, parietal cells action will be more. First action is the parietal cells action will be more. Next one is there is overstimulation of parasympathetic nervous system. That is, if there is overstimulation of parasympathetic nervous system, it may activate parietal cells or it may activate enterochromatin cells. Then ultimately it results in the synthesis of HCl, hydrochloric acid. It releases the acidic nature. That is second cause is parasympathetic nervous system overstimulation. And next one is there is decrease in the defense mechanism. There is decrease in the defense mechanism. Next cause is one more important cause, that is usage of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. There is non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. So, how these non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs results in peptic ulcer means, these non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, it will inhibit the prostaglandins. So, example, intake of aspirin, which will inhibit the prostaglandins. If there is inhibition of prostaglandins, they do not activate the foveolar cells. If there is no activation of foveolar cells, there will be no production of mucus. If there is no production of mucus, there is no production of bicarbonates. If there is no production of bicarbonates, there will be no production of proton molecules. If there is no production of proton molecules, there is no attachment of chloride molecules. If there is no attachment of chloride molecules, there will be no formation of HCl. In this way, it results in increasing HCl molecules. So, if prostaglandins are inhibited, they cannot inhibit the foveolar cells. If there is no inhibition of foveolar cells, there will be more production of HCl. If there is, once again, if non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs are given, it will inhibit the prostaglandins. If prostaglandins are inhibited, they cannot inhibit the foveolar cells. So they cannot act on foveolar cells. Now, as a result, this will increases the HCl secretion. So, this is some causes, and next one is one important types of causes, that is special bacteria, that is Helicobacter pylori. Helicobacter pylori. What is this bacteria means? Let us consider. This is our stomach, and our stomach is full in acidic nature. It is in acidic nature. Now, let us consider, this is Helicobacter bacteria. Now, these Helicobacter bacteria cannot survive within the acidic nature. So, these Helicobacter pylori bacteria will release special enzyme called urease. So, the urease which is released, the function of this urease is it helps in converting the urea into ammonia. Now, whenever ammonia is formed, these pylori bacterium, whatever the Helicobacter pylori bacterium is present, on this there is a protective layer of ammonia is present. It is protected by ammonia. So, this ammonia is alkaline in nature. So, they cannot be destroyed by this acidic nature. As a result, it increases the production of HCl. So, there is special class of pharmacology acting in this area. There are special group of drugs which will work on this bacteria and inhibit the synthesis of bacteria and survival of bacteria. There are special group of drugs like antibiotics. There are special group of drugs called antibiotics. So, what are the antibiotics called? First one is amoxicillin. First one is amoxicillin and second one is tetracycline. Next one is clarithromycin. Next one is metronidazole. Metronidazole. So these are the four important class of drugs, antibiotics, which are working on the bacteria and inhibit the synthesis of bacteria and kill the bacteria. That is antibiotics like amoxicillin, tetracycline, clarithromycin, and metronidazole. So these are some important antibiotics which are working against this. Now there is one more type of syndrome that causes the peptic ulcer, that is Zollinger Ellison syndrome. There is Zollinger-Ellison syndrome. Now, what is Zollinger-Ellison syndrome? As we know that, let us consider these are the G cells. So, G cells are nothing but gastrin cells. If there is tumor present within this G cells, no, if there is presence of tumor, it may undergo multiple proliferations. It undergoes proliferations. So there will be excessive secretion of gastrin. So this excessive secretion of gastrin that will work on parietal cells. It will work on many number of parietal cells. As a result, there will be more secretion of HCl. There will be more secretion of HCl. As a result, it results in increasing HCl. It results in ulcers. So this is about Zollinger-Ellison syndrome, which is associated with G, that is gastrin cells, where there is presence of tumor. As a result, it will activate more number of parietal cells. It will synthesize more HCl. As a result, it results in HCl concentration. Now, let us discuss some complications which are related with peptic ulcers. Complications associated with peptic ulcer. Now, as we know that this is the outermost layer, that is serosal layer. Below this, longitudinal muscles, below this circular muscles, below this is a circular muscles. So next to this, it consists of submucosal layer. That is submucosal layer. Below the submucosal layer, it consists of mucosal layer. This is submucosal layer. Now, there is a first condition, that is first complication is the first condition is erosion. What is erosion means? There is damage of only the superficial layers, that is rugae. this is rugae. There is only damage to this rugae, that is erosions. This is the first complication, that is erosions, which there is damage to this only superficial layers. Next one, that is ulcers. What is ulcer means? There is damage to these superficial layers, there is damage to these mucosal layers, and there will be damage to these submucosal layers, and the damage will be progressing into the muscular layer, muscle layer, that is ulcers. The damage between the superficial layers plus mucosal layer plus submucosal layer plus muscularis externa. This is about ulcers. And next one is perforation. What is perforation? So if the damage is increased to this outermost area and there is formation of pits, that is there is formation of holes, there will be formation of holes like this. There will be formation of multiple holes. There will be formation of multiple holes. There will be hole damage. This is one complication. And next one is the next complication is peritonitis. What is peritonitis means? If there is perforations are present, there are multiple holes are present. So whatever the food which we are taking will be expelled out into the peritoneal region. So whatever the food which enters into the peritoneal region, it results in peritonitis, is called peritonitis. And next one is bowel blockage. There will be blockage in the bowels. And next important complication is gastrointestinal tract cancer. If there is over obstructions and there is over abnormalities, it may result into the formation of tumors. It results in gastric intestinal tumor. So what are the signs and symptoms are? There is epigastric pain will be present, and there will be weight loss will be present, and there is blood vomiting is present, and there is dark colored stools is also present. These are signs and symptoms. While coming to the diagnosis, the person should undergo first important test is biopsy. Biopsy of the stomach should be done. Next step is endoscopy. Endoscopy should be done, and next one is urea breath test. Then in this condition we should administer the urea tablets, that is urea breath test. And next one is barium amine X-ray, that is barium amine X-ray. By this we can investigate the ulcers. So these are some important discussion about peptic ulcer. We have completed about the peptic ulcers, introduction and types of peptic ulcers and causes of peptic ulcers, and the pharmacology which is involved in treating the peptic ulcers.